Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
I'm getting no audio, by the way.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, welcome into the Undrafted Uncensored, where we're all going to miss the post on this one. Joe heard it. I heard
technically, it. Nick hit the post. He said, I have no audio exactly when the theme song ended. If you had just kept going, Nick, you had it.
I think we were good 3 seconds late. Damn. But that's all right. We're here. This is Undrafted
we're live.
Uncensored.
We're fine. We would expect nothing less. Happy Valentine's Day, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You too.
It's a lovely day to talk sports.
Hell yeah. A lot of midway points and, breaks and starts. It's, it's just like relationships, you're at midway points in relationships. Sometimes you're on a break and sometimes you're just starting it up.
It's just like metaphors.
Yeah. Thankfully, the end of the football season, none of us were heartbroken.
No. Colin's still trying to fake his way through it, so we know how he is, but there
is no faking it.
Oh, there was plenty of faking it.
Oh yeah, you quit on.
I told you.
Yeah.
Who'd you pick to win?
Nope. I told you there was no faking it. It was all because of my bad luck streak. Much like me picking the Rockies and the Yankees to both go under on their win totals, I knew that my bad juju was going to end up rubbing off on, on those guys.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, it did. That's how it did work. Unlucky in gambling, lucky in love is what I am. All right. So there you go. You're welcome, America, once again, for me getting on the Chiefs bandwagon and becoming a total homer and giving up all hope, supposedly.
Oh, Pat Bowlen's rolling over in his grave right now.
No, he's proud of me.
No,
he was the guy that I was the guy that he released just to bring back after scouting the Chiefs. And now that I've done my due diligence, I've got I'm in his inner circle, as Robert De Niro would say. I'm in the trust.
In the circle of trust, huh?
Uh-huh.
Circle of trust. All right.
Just remember that, guys. When you go against,
pen and paper.
Don't take sides against the family, okay?
Well,
y'all are outside. You didn't get the inside info. You wouldn't do whatever it took for the Chiefs not to win.
Quitting on everyone is not doing what it takes. That's just quitting.
No, it was not. It was going full blown Chiefs fandom for 2 weeks because I had to break the curse.
That's kind of just like the whole history is written by the victors. Now that it worked out, we're gonna say that I didn't quit.
Yep,
but
that's
in
exactly
reality,
that was the plan all along.
Yeah, it was to quit, and then maybe it works out, and you can pretend like it was on purpose.
It was. Ain't no doubt about it. Nick is either frozen or he has no clue what to say. Wow, yes. Nick's new internet cannot get here soon enough. Oh, I just saw him move. Is he back?
Or do you think it is the new internet and it's still just ass?
No, it's not up yet. Yeah, he's gonna call someone. Well, we'll wait for him to start moving again, and we'll get into everything that is happening. The biggest thing in the news, I guess, as far as recently locally, has been Jamal Murray. And speaking of love, everyone in Colorado is back in love with Jamal Murray after dropping double nickels right before the All-Star break. Is this just Jamal Murray doing what Jamal Murray does and showing up in a few key moments when he's playing, maybe I don't want to say, well, he was playing some bad teams, but he's showing up in moments when he only feels like they're doubting him. And then is the old Jamal Murray going to come back after the All-Star break? Because now that he's shown he can do it, he can go back to being the 1 for 9 from 3-point land shooter that he is, Joe.
I mean, that's not what he is, but I mean, he's
not recently.
No, but like, yeah, he's that Jamal when he's like that, it's because he's out of shape. It's because he's hurt. It's because of some kind of other thing. And the problem is, he obviously doesn't keep himself in very good shape, especially when the season begins, so that it compounds these kinds of issues. It causes little nicks and scrapes here and there that he might not have if he was in like Russell Westbrook shape. So that's kind of the hope of bringing a guy like Russ in here, that maybe he'd be able to kind of teach, I guess, Jamal some of that to an extent. But no, like, it's just the 55, I think that is Jamal. He is a guy that can give you 55 on any given night. I was actually there with my buddy Jimbo. So, you could say it was really just my presence that inspired Jamal Murray to put up.
I mean, you could also
55.
say that if I was there cheering for Jamal Murray, that he would have put up like 7 points and played for 13 minutes.
No, you were cheering for Peyton Watson. We were at that Spurs game last year, and he got a block on Wemby, so that's not true.
No, I was cheering for a Wembanyama triple-double, and I missed it.
Well, you were betting on that. You were cheering for Peyton Watson and Christian Brown, who both had great games. No, that's who he is, man. He can do that. And yeah, Portland's fucking terrible. They have nobody, especially nobody that was really attempting to guard. But it's great to see that he's still capable of doing that. And I think you're right. I think part of it is just because people have been talking shit. And like, Jamal Murray is best when he's pissed off. So I've kind of been of the mind, you know what, let's talk some shit. Let's piss him off. Let's be a little extra hard on Jamal. One, because he should be a superstar. He should be in an all-star game. He's arguably the best player in the league to not be an all-star. It's him or CJ McCollum. And CJ's got the consistency on him, but he's got no 50-something point games. Jamal Murray recently with that game, he just passed like a ridiculous amount of people for the most number of like 50-point games. He's got more 50-point games than Magic Johnson. He's got more 50-point games than like really great fucking players, like scorers. I'm trying to I think he got more than Melo. Like, it was crazy. I was watching a video on it recently, but like, that's what he does, man. And then in the next game, he'll just kind of, So honestly, like, it depends on what we see in the playoffs. Like, these games are a lot of fun. They're great. It's great to see Scott Hastings out there on Serbian night in this red velvet jacket at the end of the game going, I want everyone to repeat after me. I can't drive. Then he holds up the thing and the crowd goes, 55! Because, it was awesome. But
did you get a bobblehead?
No, we didn't get there early enough.
Oh, man.
There were some nice people going up the aisles and shit, and I thought about trying to get one. The people next to me were wearing matching Jokic Team Serbia jerseys, one white and one red. And so they got the guy in the red jersey to go do the 3-point starry ball shot.
Oh, okay.
And that didn't work out. It turns out those are not basketballs. You can't dribble them. He went to dribble it for rhythm, and it just fucking like sunk. It was weird, like alarmingly. Like, I don't know if it makes it more difficult to shoot, but I feel like it has to. So that felt a little bit scummy.
I was going to say, probably a little less likely to bounce off. I mean, if it's kind of a dead ball, it might be easier to go in.
Yeah.
A little less bounce on it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'd have to get with Tom Brady about deflated balls. That's for damn sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like, who's the Tom Brady of basketball? But yeah, man, it's fun to watch. That's what Jamal does, and we'll see if he does it again. It'd be nice, but like, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of looking to see some of those things that he did in a more competitive, playoff-like scenario. Will he be able to do that? Kind of like we say about Porter. Can he do these things against really good teams, good defensive teams? And he did once his game against Orlando Magic. They're a very good defensive team when Porter went off for like 30-something. So Porter's got one against a good team. Jamal,
Porter has been much more consistent this year. Porter has definitely had a much better year overall than than Jamal Murray. He's been way more consistent. He's put in more effort. Besides, there was a week lapse right before when all those trade rumors kind of started. And I don't even want to say it was a week lapse. It was kind of a 2-game lapse. And then Murray or MPJ came back out and was playing crazy. The thing is, for Jamal Murray, it's when he's not having those 55-point nights. The frustrating part is that he feels checked out. He doesn't.
Very Randy Moss.
It's okay. Well, then Jokic is running everything on the offense. I'll sit here, and if I happen to make one of my 10 3-point attempts, then awesome. That's what it feels like with Jamal Murray when he's not having a good night. When he's on fire, you're right. The list, we'll have to find that list, but his high scoring, he's obviously capable of it. As a fan, you just wish that you saw that more. You wish that you had more opportunities and could count on having that opportunity day in, day out, night in, night out. To go back to, my favorite thing in baseball, no matter how bad the Rockies were, when they had Nolan Arenado, but whenever they had Nolan Arenado, you know what? You had a chance to see a play that you had never seen before. You had a chance to see a top 10 highlight. Every time you go to a Nuggets game, you'll see Jokic do some stuff almost always.
Yeah.
But for Jamal Murray, it's seeing a white rhino. They're out there. They're, it's possible, but you don't expect it ever. And that's the thing, is just his consistency. Consistency is what kills the fans. And it's what kills me about Murray, because you mentioned that list. He's up there and he can score. We've seen him do it. We've seen him come through at the end of games. But why can't you just do that a little bit more often? And Russell Westbrook being here, you're right. You mentioned that too. Russell Westbrook's presence has to have lit some sort of fire or done something, because I think all the talk of Westbrook in the starting lineup being better and the Nuggets having that winning percentage, whatever it was, they only lost like 2 games at one point in time when he was in the starting lineup. Like, that had to hopefully have lit a fire underneath Jamal's ass, because he has to perform. Malone has shown that he will start Westbrook over anybody not named Jokic, that he will mess with the lineup to a point where Jamal, it doesn't matter what you're making. AG was fine coming off the bench. And I think that was probably him getting back into the groove, and he wants to play more, but it needs to be seen more often than not. And it doesn't have to be 55 every time. 55 would be great from Murray all the time. But he doesn't need to do that. But he needs to stay engaged in the game when he's not having those type of nights.
But I'm not trying to knock Jamal. It seems like he's gotten over whatever he had going on in the beginning of the season, because he was, like you said, checked out. It seemed like he just kind of, I can just show up and I could put up 30 with little effort, and you're not Joker, dude. And even then, Joker's still putting effort forward to get his 30 points at least. And I don't know. I don't know if he turned a corner. I don't know if he kicked somebody out of his life. But this 8-game winning streaks, he seems like a different Jamal now. I don't know if you touched on that. I'm sorry if you did.
Well, I said he looks like a different Jamal for 2 games, 3 games. And my question really was it, will Jamal go back to the old tricks after the All-Star break?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I got snubbed from the All-Star game again. Well, you didn't really get snubbed this year. Previous years, you could say he got snubbed.
Yeah, no, this year he didn't deserve it.
But this year, yeah, there's no way. Like, he doesn't have the credentials or that history at work. You mentioned CJ McCollum, Joe. Yeah, the consistency is there for a guy like McCollum. And he would deserve it more. Maybe not this year, but he would deserve it more than Jamal if we're going on past history. What your resume shows me. There were nights where Skeetishvili went off for 40 points.
Wow. I think
J.R. Smith was a guy who could catch fire, but he was never going to be an all-star. Like, that's that's what it kind of boils down to. When you're paying a guy this much money, you need consistency at that position, especially the point guard. I know in a Jokic-centric offense, he's not controlling the ball as much or doesn't have to be as involved every play. He doesn't have to be Ben Simmons trying to find people, which, by the way, Ben Simmons, last night for the Clippers found a little groove there. He actually scored in double digits.
Oh, he did that in the game I went to with Brooklyn. He even caught a lob from James Harden. It was dope. All right, so I found it. I had to check it out because Basketball Reference is out of date on Jamal Murray's spot on the 50-point list. So I had to cross-reference it with how many 50-point games he actually has. It says he has 2. He actually has 4.
4 counting.
Exactly.
The other
so that's his 4th one. So other guys that have 4, here, I'm just going to unplug Le Tablet and pull it up so I'm not like, so the number of, so we got Bob McAdoo, Larry Bird, Moses Malone, Tracy McGrady, Mello, George Mikan, Karl Malone, Klay Thompson, all guys with 4 that Jamal has now tied. Dudes he has more 50-point games than fucking Shaq.
A lot.
Dwayne Wade, Suck it Shea, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Gilbert Arenas.
I have a feeling that one won't last as long.
No, it won't, but it's funny. Shout outs to Kiki Vandeweghe. He only had 2.
There you go, former Nugget.
CJ McCollum only has 2. All right, he lost the argument there. He's only got 2 50-point games. He can't be the best.
Oh, yeah, obviously not.
The thing we said earlier, Nick, was that Jamal, I think, is the best player in the NBA to never be named to an All-Star. The only real competition is CJ McCollum, who's more consistent. But
okay.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Oscar Robertson has 2 50-point games. Jamal's got twice the amount. That's insane. And for a guy like that to have been demanded to be traded by at least half the fan base, if not more, up until the last month or so, is crazy.
Well, I mean, I think the fan base, once they actually realized that he couldn't be traded. By the way, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to Undrafted Uncensored. If you had been tuned in here, you would have known Jamal Murray couldn't be traded during the season this year. So we went through that early on with all the rumors of him possibly being out the door. Now, I will say, and I will stand by what I said earlier, is that if Jamal Murray goes back into his shell for 2/3 of this second half of the season, however that math adds up, I'll let you guys do it.
I was told there would be no math.
But if he goes into that shell again and doesn't perform and is consistently underperforming, and the Nuggets get bounced in the first round, then yeah, I think that if that's a big part of it, him not playing well, he's got to be on the move. The Nuggets have to look to be trying to move him, because you can't have a guy on the team who's only performing a quarter of the time or less, it feels like.
Well, and then I don't know if you guys have noticed it. I think that kind of opened the door too for that Joker Christian Brown relationship too, because they've been on a level lately, a lot more than Joker and Jamal. And Christian's really feeding off the assists, and I mean he already plays hard anyway, but to add that Joker factor into him basically being guaranteed at least a couple shots each possession. Jamal's painting himself into a corner.
I was going to say, one of the reasons why Christian has been averaging, what's he at, 12.5 per game or something like that?
Yeah,
I believe
like that.
he's at 12. He's over nuts. 12 per game with five boards also. And that's something that even Jamal, and I know as a point guard, you're not going to get as many rebounds, but you should be having the assists with it. And the 2-man game with him and Jokic is great. We all know that it is great. And there is something to be said for taking a back seat and being the Robin to Jokic's Batman.
15.
But Robin needs to show up more often. Sometimes Robin does come and save the day and help Batman out. But more often than not, as of late, it's been Christian being Robin, saving the day and having the good games, doing all the other things to help this team win. And not just him, but that he's kind of taken that role. So you're right, Nick. We hadn't mentioned Christian's, I guess, improvement this season. Yeah. Remember how I was the only one here who wasn't worried about KCP and I was happy with Christian taking it? I'm kidding.
Here we go again.
I know I was completely comfortable with it. Like, I will say I know that. I said I was confident in the fact that Christian would work this year, and it really has worked out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's something
the things that he needed to do, he did. Like we said, the biggest thing is he just has to be willing to score in any way, shape, or form, because that was the one thing that you couldn't get from him consistently off the bench was actual points. He had some sweet dunks. He had some wide open threes. His percentage was actually really good, but it's because of his low attempt rate. So that was really my only issue, because he was a better defender than KCP because he's a little bit bigger, younger, more energy. KCP was just such a consistent 3-point shooter, and Brown just brings something different. He really developed the ability to get to the rack and get fouled. Like, that has been so invaluable to this team to have that. And the transition. The Nuggets are one of the most athletic teams in the NBA, which is something that I never thought I would say on a team with Nikola Jokic on it. But they're so fast paced and moving the ball, especially I almost said moving the football down the field. They push the pace, guys. They move the football. It's fantastic. But Russell Westbrook being in great shape, Christian Brown, but dude, it's awesome. He's fit so well. I also don't know if KCP would fit as well on this team as Christian Brown has so far this season.
Yeah, and his numbers this year, 15 on the dot for points per game.
That's what I said, 15.
Rebounds 5 and assists 2. That's better than what KCP was giving you, and you're not in the second apron. Mm-hmm. So which goes back to the Jamal Murray, our original topic, is that this offseason, if this Nuggets team fails and you can rid yourself of that contract, which, like I said, it feels like there are times that he is hindering this team from being as good as it can be. And it's nights like against Portland when he does something like that just you go, why the hell are you not here all the damn time?
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part as a fan, because this team, they're a championship contender. I said it I know I was the only one to say this, that I didn't care about what the rest of the league was doing because of what I saw in Jokic in the Olympics. He could bring that Serbia team, and I know that they were a team they played together a lot, but he brought Serbia on the brink of being in the gold medal game.
Yeah.
That's alone, in theory, alone. And he's got a Nuggets team that has a lot of good players on it. So I wasn't as nervous about Jokic being able to carry this team through an NBA season.
No.
Especially come playoff time. I mean, things can become different, but Jokic is the other guys around him.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the matchups. Because we saw when Jamal and Porter were gone for years that sometimes they just couldn't match up with teams because one player doesn't win you a championship, sadly. Kareem would have had a lot more championships because he was the best player in the world for a long time. Insert best player in the world from an era here. But so against the Warriors, they just had nobody defend all that 3-point shooting because you're starting Facu Campazzo and Austin Rivers. That was just rough. So I think it really depends on who you go against too. Because if Porter is playing soft and he's not hitting it, and Jamal is maybe hurt, maybe just not playing well, whatever. And so it's Jokic and Westbrook and Christian Brown and stuff. That team could beat the Lakers. Absolutely. They could probably beat this version of the Timberwolves without the multiple bigs, but you put them up against one of those young big teams like Memphis or Houston, who's, we've been looking at kind of all year as these are the two teams that are going to make that jump. That's a matchup that worries me. If your second and third stars are not playing like second or third stars, but at the same time, Jamal usually steps up. I can't think of a time when he didn't in the playoffs. Like, obviously, there was the injury problems last year, so some games he kind of disappeared. But overall, he stepped up in the playoffs. So that's what I think kind of gives them the chance. If they can just play defense, dude, they can take on almost anybody. Because we still have to see it from OKC, the success.
They got bounced the first round last year.
Yeah,
or second, but
well, yeah.
Still, like it's basically the first round for good teams.
Yeah, it's the first round.
The second round of the NBA playoffs. I like that.
That's like saying funny. that the field of 64 in March Madness is not the opening weekend.
True, but like also teams like the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks got bounced in the first round the year that we won the championship. So teams still get bounced that are good, and that's when it's really bad. But this team could beat, I think, almost anybody, especially if they can bring in someone to fill in a little bit more of those big minutes. Because I think the whole need for a 3-point shooter, it hasn't really reared its ugly head. Knock on wood. So I feel like just having someone to fill out some of those minutes, like what Jeff Green did in the championship run, because I feel like Peyton Watson is still best utilized as a wing defender. But if he can do it and he has to, fuck it. But like, if there's plenty of dudes that are going to be coming available on the buyout market. The Lakers just signed Alex Len to be the best lob threat they can get for Luka. So if there's a guy, a forward or a center they could bring in and come and get 5-6 minutes a game, that'd be huge. But like, I don't even really know if they need that.
I mean, Nick, do you want me to steal your thunder, or are you going to take it?
Go ahead.
Because the Nuggets, I think, have that guy. Strother has stepped up in the recent weeks. I mean, he got named to the Rising Stars game. I think his shot has really come along too. He's played much better as of late. So what are you trading? Are you looking for a vested veteran? I don't think that's the way that.
No, I'm looking for a big. I'm not looking for a shooter. That's what I was saying. The need for a 3-point shooter is gone. We don't need a 3-point shooter anymore. We need someone who can come in and fill in those big minutes, like what Jeff Green did. Because Peyton Watson, he's not huge. He's better as a wing defender. He's not better as an interior in the paint type guy. That's what I was saying. We need a big. That's what they need to fill in those 5-6 minutes next to Aaron Gordon, while Jokic will be on the bench. So they can either play the 4 like what Jeff Green did, or they can play center. Doesn't really matter, because like I said at the beginning, the need for a 3-point shooter, I think, is not there anymore.
All right, sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, I just...
No, you're good.
I don't, but then even with that, who are you going to give up? Are you going to give up that guy in Strother who could come in and get that 5-6 minute guy? What's more important? And I think that one thing we did see with this team is that even with management is that they're not going to give up on their young guys.
No.
The Zeke Naji contract is the epitome of not giving up on a young guy. So I don't know.
And he's played well. It's crazy.
In blowouts.
This is garbage time too that he's playing.
No, he started against Portland and he had 12 points. He had a dunk in the first quarter.
Let's look at that sentence again. He started against Portland.
He started a game of basketball and played well. He didn't fuck up. That's insane. Like he's worse than, like, imagine if Jerry Jeudy was also like a 7th round pick and then they paid him a whole bunch. Like, he is the most disappointing player the Nuggets may have ever had. So to see him just not fuck up, like, maybe Zeke Naji is that big. They can come in for 5 minutes and not fuck up, which is crazy to think. But they need someone who's like he did. He's been blocking shots. Like, I don't know why I did that. Guys, he's been dude. He's like, I don't think he is yet. But dude, he's played well enough to potentially. He's better than fucking Saric. Which again isn't saying much, but I didn't think I could say that Zeke Naji was better than anybody. Like, I don't think he's better than guys that are retired currently.
But I don't think his handful of games are more fluky to me than Jamal Murray's handful of games.
Sure, we just never seen this handful of games before. Really, I guess there was like 1 or 2, but this is some of the most production we've seen from Zeke Naji in years. So the fact that there's any production there, it's like if we saw Javonte Williams break a tackle, exactly. which is like maybe that was part of it. Maybe he just needed to play, which feels crazy because I've been advocating to get that fucking guy off the court and off the team, for a while now.
Well, clearly there's something else going on behind the scenes that we don't see. Because Malone will work his guy. Christian earned his spot. Swatson's earned his spot. These guys are earning their spots, even though we have to narrow the bench down by the time the playoffs come. He's got to realize at this point in his career that what I've been doing isn't working, so I need to do something else.
Well, yeah, and obviously the trade deadline, maybe getting called out was something that helped him. Maybe it just being in the public like that is something that did cause him to step up his game. Like I said, the teams that it's up against and where we're at in the season for that, there are guys that already 1, 2, 3 Cancun when it comes to the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It was one of my worries about the Nuggets. So, yes, he did show up, and I will give him credit for that. But let me see let me see it against the Lakers. Let me see it in a game where you got to play some meaningful minutes for whatever reason, foul trouble, anything
Joker's
like
in
that.
foul trouble, yeah.
Let me see it then.
The one night he had 4 before
and then,
the half.
Then I'll start to gain a little bit more faith back in Zeke Naji. Did you guys see the news that just happened?
Yeah, I was waiting for you guys to finish. I was going to drop the breaking news, so if you want to go right ahead.
You go.
All right.
Breaking
According to
news.
Mike list, where'd my tweet go? I just had it pulled up, and then my phone reset.
Broncos are hiring former Saints interim head coach Darren Rizzi as the special teams coordinator.
Thank you.
Ooh, he's risen on them fools.
So
once again, another Saints bodies moving their way up from Nolans to Denver. It's going to become the Nolans of the North here pretty soon.
Saints special teams,
they were pretty decent.
Yeah, well, and I think that part of the reason why we remember them being decent is the risk they took, like the onside kick, obviously, Super Bowl. But they, it felt like they had always a good defense, and I think a good defense also leads to a good special teams in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because you can have those, you can have
a lot of those
some of those guys
pieces
out there. It's not all of them, but your guys that are filling in, I think it helps to have that level, because if you have a good defense, usually not all the time because you have like fullbacks, but they're holding those guys to a higher level because you're having more competition at a defensive position. The competition level is higher, and so you have to up your game to be better.
Yeah.
So I think that, while they might have been embattled in a lot of controversies, kind of saw it coming, but
we were waiting for it.
This was heavily telegraphed. As soon as the Broncos let their special teams coordinator go at the end of the season, it was like, all right, cool. They're going after Sean Payton's guy. The guy, he's available. And then it took a while for some reason. Like this felt like it should have been done like during all the head coaching hires, but I guess it didn't matter because he wasn't going to go anywhere else. They just took their time and negotiated, or maybe just took a vacation or whatever. Who knows? But
I'm wondering if honestly he had to kind of stay on staff until the Saints hired a new coach.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Like
they had to wait until Kellen Moore was actually available. So
because technically he was still the interim head coach. That might be it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I saw what you're stepping in. Yeah, that seems legit.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. I think more so than like him being a phenomenal special teams coordinator or anything, it's just that him and Sean Payton have a good understanding. Like they fit. They're going to be able to work together well. So I think that's going to be nice to just have a more Sean Payton guy. And I don't think our special teams was terrible over the last couple of years, but it could always be better. Having a Pro Bowler is pretty sweet, so you can't say it's that bad with Marvin Mims. But a lot of that too was just because Marvin Mims is a talented guy. But it'd be nice to not have the Chiefs block a field goal at the end of the game. That was a pretty big one. So it's kind of one of those, like, I don't know if it was necessarily a problem, but it definitely got better. So
is it? Now I'm thinking back. The Saints ran a decent amount of fake punts too. Like
we had
Yeah.
the one.
I remember a few of them, like because I knew you would have Taysom Hill in there sometimes as one of the blockers.
Yeah.
But I remember their punter.
Future Bronco.
I can't remember. Yeah, future Bronco Taysom Hill. At once he hits 40 years old, he'll be eligible to become a Bronco.
I can't wait. That's like 35.
I can't remember their
in
punter,
40
but
years.
their punter had like something like 2 touchdowns in a season, or like three first downs in a game, something crazy. Maybe it was one of the games with a rookie or someone filling in for Drew Brees, or it probably was after Brees, but where he had more first downs than the starting quarterback. I remember something funny like that.
There's a bunch of different.
I can see it probably was a Taysom Hill game because they did a lot of those, run the ball, punt.
They do a Taysom Hill. Matthew Highball had the 11-yard fake punt run.
Sweet. I like these kind of things. It adds wrinkles to your special teams. It forces the opponent to have to watch out for these things and cover these things so that your regular punts are a little bit better because they have to spend that half a second to make sure it's not a fake. So that'll help, I think, overall, just in general, as long as guys are executing, they're not jumping off sides, causing problems, because that's the worst thing you can have on a 4th down. To go back 5 yards and fuck up your field goal, or have it be a worse punt situation, or now you can't go for it anymore, or whatever. I guess you wouldn't have your special teams out there if you're going to go for it, unless it was a fake run, and then all of a sudden now you move back 5, can't do a run anymore. So like, as long as it doesn't cause us to make mental errors because there's so much more going on, I think it's a good thing.
I mean, jumping off sides on a 4th down field goal attempt didn't hurt my most recent favorite team in the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
At that point, it didn't matter.
They still made it. They still made the field goals.
It's true.
All right. Well, I mean, we're on football. We'll finish up the other topic real quick since it's already Broncos associated, Broncos even adjacent, or whatever you want to call it.
Adjacent.
Do the Broncos since we're talking about entertaining people for jobs, do they entertain any of these trades that are floating around right now? T. Higgins.
That's a good one.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper cup of coffee with
Broncos? I was like,
were you trying to say Cooper Flag?
Well, my brain wanted to say Cooper Rush. And so like my brain I was thinking I was saying Rush, but I was saying Kupp, and I don't know, my brain is just,
I mean, if the Broncos
entertain any of these
draft
guys
Cooper
right now,
Flag,
Myles Garrett, do they entertain any of these trades? Are these Peyton's Joker card that he wants? I'm not going to say Joker because I'm really getting sick of that phrase. So I'm going to say Joker card for now because, I'm irritated with everybody calling him a Joker.
we need Sean Payton's Jokic.
Shut up.
I don't. I mean, the only guy that is the true definition of that position that Sean Payton is looking for is Deebo Samuel. And if you're looking for one of those guys, and that's the guy that you have to go and get, but you're obviously risking a lot of injury with that, a lot of missed time. I think it was the 2020 season, maybe it was the 21 season where he last played a full season.
I think it was 21 season.
Okay,
it's not great.
He's getting injured, and that was the year, I believe 21 was where they had the backup quarterback who threw for like 500 yards on a Monday Night Football game, and he was the recipient of like 150 of them, along with like Kittle, who had a crazy night. Debo's the only guy who fits that. Now, if you're gonna lose, if you're gonna have Cortland Sutton go away, if you're gonna have another contract negotiation holdout, I think that hurts. I think that really hurts Bo going into his second year. The guy I would want would probably be a guy like Cooper Kupp. The last 2 years have been an anomaly in his career. And maybe it's the once injured going to be consistently injured. But all I know is that T. Higgins is much more often injured than Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And Kupp has gone through the rigors of the NFL for a long time. So if you're going to get a guy to teach the Mims, the Franklins, the Vele's, this young core of receivers how to be an NFLer for a long time, I think you got to go after Cup. The splashy move would be T. Higgins. If you're looking for that joker position, I'm gonna call it that because that's what Sean Payton does. Sorry, Nick. It's gonna be Deebo Samuel, which I think that you can put some chips in to set up, but you can't put the chips in for a year with a guy like Deebo Samuel. You can put your chips in for a year with a guy like Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
because he's not long in the tooth.
Yeah,
I think it really depends on the draft capital. Or the compensation, I guess, in general that each team wants. Because, like, would I like to see Myles Garrett on this defense? Absolutely. That sounds awesome. What do we have to give up? Do we have to give up multiple firsts? I don't even want to give up a first because pass rush, I don't feel like is a need. Again, it's kind of like, that's something they had to do, but it would be a huge upgrade. It would be sweet. But if you can get them for relatively cheap, hell yeah. But if you have to start giving up first round picks, I don't love that. I think I'm with Colin. I think Cooper Kupp is the guy you look at. Cooper Rush, that's my guy. You got to pick him up. Because the draft compensation is going to be low because he's old, because he has a relatively high contract, although I'm pretty sure that the Rams have to eat a portion of it. So it's not actually that bad of a cap hit for the Broncos or whoever makes the trade. We're going to say it's the Broncos. So if you want to trade for Sly Cooper, you can make that happen with 5th round pick, 4th round pick. And that sounds awesome. That is a compliment to Cortland Sutton. I'm not a guy to replace Cortland Sutton with.
No.
Or that's just one of multiple moves you make if you lose Cortland. But I think Cortland's sticking around. I don't see him going anywhere unless they make a trade or something.
Well,
So yeah, I would do that. I agree with you with Deebo. I don't think he has, and he doesn't want to play the Joker role, DeMarc Hamel anyway. He wants to just be a receiver because he was tired of getting beat up in the running game anyway. He was tired of not playing a full season. And I think in his mind, a lot of that is because he was getting carries instead of just being a traditional receiver. So I don't think he wants to do that. And I think the Bengals, Joe Burrow was talking about taking a pay cut to keep T. Higgins around, to give an extension to Jamar Chase and to pay T. Higgins. So I think, yeah, Cooper Kupp is the guy if you're looking at that. Otherwise, you just wait until free agency. And, maybe you get Chris Godwin. Maybe you get someone a little bit lower tier that can come in and just be a quality contributor to the team, like what they hope Josh Reynolds would be.
And that's, to go back to Kupp for a second, the reason why I also say that is even if he isn't healthy, the guys see his work ethic. Because I think we all know that he's a hard worker and he's spending his days in the meeting rooms, in the books, and he's not one to mess around. Like I had a chance to feed him, and he didn't need a dietitian with him to know what he did or didn't want. But he was very strict, and it was like this is how it's going to be. It was very workmanlike. Even like I said, his ordering and knowing what he wanted. It was almost like he knew where things were at before he walked into the room. And he might have gone down and scoped out, all right, this is where eggs are going to be made. Like, I don't know that for a fact, but
can see things.
That's the type of attitude that goes into his work ethic. And I think that, like I said, that has a better influence on these young guys. And I'm not saying Deebo doesn't have that work ethic. I just think that if you're getting Deebo Samuel to the Broncos, you're tying up money for the next 4 or 5 seasons because he's going to want a new contract too. He's going to want some years added on. So you're, adding money onto a deal when you're just about to clear off $32 million from Russell Wilson and really be able to spend in next year's free agent offseason.
Yeah, you got to be smart about your money too.
For a rental, which you don't really want to do either.
Well, yeah, but if you're paying for Cooper Kupp for a rental, like that's a lot lower, and that's why.
You're overpaying for a rental with Deebo. That's what I'm saying. You'd be overpaying for a rental, which you don't want to do that if you're going to get a rental guy like that. And honestly, Cooper Kupp I think is more likely to extend because he wouldn't be trying to get a massive amount of money because he's had the injury history. You almost hope that Debo's, spends some time hurt so that you can get him extension for less if you go that route. So, yeah, I think the Broncos are fine. They can, take a page out of the Nuggets book and stand pat potentially. But if something awesome falls in their lap, then sick, go for it,
Yeah, I think a lot of their plans are going to come from the draft too, because, they actually have a first and second round pick, and
yeah.
I
think there's going to be one big free agent. I think there's one skill position guy they pick up in free agency. I don't know what position necessarily. It feels like receiver has the most available guys, but I think there'll be one domino to fall there that'll really help them kind of focus their draft plan.
Yeah,
scouting.
Well, they got about a month and a half to plan it, so maybe 2 months. About 2 months.
Some time.
It's in April, yeah. It's around my parents' anniversary. That's all I know. I don't know when my parents' anniversary is. I just know it's around the draft.
We'll tell them I said happy anniversary.
I will when we get there.
No, do it today.
No.
Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to forget by the time I get to their house today anyway. Did you guys watch Sport Nations at all? Have you started to get into that?
Hell yeah. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, Colin loves Kachuk.
Dude, that's the worst part about this is I have to root for both Kachucks.
Both, not just one.
Both of them are out there. But I mean, that third period when I don't know what they made a line change with the Kachucks because it was both of them and Eichel, right? In the third period where they just poured it on, and I was happy until I heard Kachuk, and then they scored again. And I was happy until I heard Kachuk. But other than the
both Brady and Matthew,
yeah.
Yep. Where does Brady play? Because I didn't know he was. I didn't know he existed. I thought it was just Matthew Kachuk. I didn't know there was another
Brady and Matthew.
Brady,
like the Vancouver Kachucks.
Can't remember now.
I know that Matthew Kachuk went to high school with Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's funny. So Jason Tatum has a YouTube channel that he had to create for school. So it popped up on my feed years ago for some reason, just because the name Jason Tatum YouTube algorithm. He had like 2,000 subscribers because of the random people that had noticed that's fucking Ottawa. Jason Tatum. And so he went to this like kick-ass high school for like athletes and scholars and shit like that. And so he had to do like this is how you tie your shoes video in high school. And he's talking about his classmates and guys that would go on to do great things and how it's such a great experience to be there. Guys like Matt Kachuk and guys like, and I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. So I've been subscribed to that. And then he put out a new video as an adult. This is the long-awaited follow-up. This is how you guys tie a tie. And it's adult Jason Tatum. Tying a tie.
Tying a tie.
Yeah, like some kind of classic YouTube video you would expect a high school student to have to make for class.
Yeah. Tomorrow's the big game, though. Tomorrow's USA Canada.
Ooh.
I don't feel good about it. Although the fact
who are you rooting for? USA or Canada?
Don't.
What?
We'll talk about that during the victory formation.
No, I said, who are you rooting for?
Well, we'll find out in the victory formation.
Because we bet very differently than we root.
Not
so
always.
If you don't feel good about it, who are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't know how.
We'll talk about the game in a minute.
So we're not doing any analysis. Okay.
We'll go into it because we'll have plenty to say here when we get to it.
And
so skip next.
Who won the Super Bowl commercial, by the way, before we get to the victory formation?
Nobody.
All right, so
there we go.
As we have done before, the winner is the one that comes from Variety, not as like voted on or chosen, that's like just decided by USA Today, because USA Today ranked their top 57. If you guys remember, they're the two lists. There's the most watched and then voted the best. We go by the most watched.
Yes.
But I will say that the best one overall, as voted by USA Today, was the Budweiser first delivery.
Oh, okay.
Because it brought the Clydesdales back.
Yeah, that's weak. It was a good commercial, but that's weak. Yeah. Everybody just likes them because they're horses.
Yes, and then it was Lay's The Little Farmer the girl with the chips in the rain. Michelob Ultra was 3. It was a lot of beer. Stella Artois, the David and Dave, which I thought was a pretty good one.
Oh yeah.
The long lost twins.
Yeah.
NFL Somebody, and then the NFL Flag 50 was 6, and then it goes into some more beer with the cul-de-sac, Uber Eats, When Harry Met Sally, and then Pfizer was top 10. That was the
Pfizer.
10. The We're Gonna Knock You Out.
Pfizer.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought the Uber Eats one, the Century of Cravings with McConaughey, was pretty damn great.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
The Flag 50 was really good too. With a girl taking on the high school jocks, that was really
That was
funny.
awesome.
But those were all pretty good. But as we go to our most watched, number 1,
Fleshy cowboy hat.
No countdown. You're just gonna go to number 1.
definitely not Fleshy Cowboy Hat. Well, I'll give a quick recap. So none of us won the best overall.
Damn.
Because it was.
Fleshy
Well, I guess I'm
cowboy
ruining it.
hat.
I chose soda. Nick chose restaurant. Joe chose beer.
Beer.
So
beer,
no
beer.
countdown because none of ours even made the top 3.
Oh, okay.
Made by Google, the dream job where he's talking on his phone to get help with his interview. Sounds like a sign of the times.
Yeah.
The Ram Trucks, Goldilocks, and the 3 Trucks was number 2.
That was pretty funny.
And number 1 was, of course, the Muppets and Booking.com. I believe that's 2 straight years with Booking.com that they did it because they had the Tina Fey one last year.
Yeah.
That I believe won it also.
Oh, all the different Tina Feys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Booking.com won, but the first of ours that was most watched to go through the rest of the list. Number 4 was Yahoo with Email Bill Murray. Number 5 was Marvel Studios Thunderbolts trailer. And number 6, you guys
That
have
would have been a bad pick, is like the Marvel movie
Movies?
that's going to have a trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have
Any
been like
guess
a
on
nice
what
dark
number
horse.
6 was?
Beer?
It was beer. The Big Men on the Cul-de-Sac with Shane Gillis, Post Malone, and Peyton Manning.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doritos Abduction, which I thought was damn
That
great,
was-
ended up at 9.
That was my favorite.
The Squarespace ended up at 10, where that was there. But NerdWallet with Kieran Culkin was 7. So Nick, neither one of ours with our
didn't even
choices
make top
made
10
the
this
top
year.
10.
Wow.
Although I gotta say that the Mountain Dew commercial was pretty phenomenal. It
That's
was
pretty good.
Yeah.
I
The other one?
thought I had a chance because it was so out there and crazy that people would be like, "Have you seen this?" and would have
Well,
gotten watched a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's Seal. He's singing "Kiss from a Rose." Becky G's in it. I'm like,
It's from a lime.
Yeah.
It's
Last.
a good looking seal.
So none of us won, but the none of us won the overall winning prize, but Joe did win as far as getting the most watched. So will he
Joe.
continue his victory streak?
Yes.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kinda winging it.
That's right. It's the victory formation where we make real bets with fake money and we keep track of it all year long to see who has the best wins on the season. This week, one of us went 0-4, one of us went 3-1, and the other went 2-2.
And one of us is named Joe.
Who is it? Let's get into it. Well, we all chose Auburn to beat Florida, and you know what that means.
Florida won.
came out and spanked that ass. So the curse had a 1-week hiatus and came back with vengeance as number 1 Auburn fell to Florida in Auburn at home. So we all lost $10 there. We move on to the Celtics versus the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks did not play for an evening and the Celtics blew them out, meaning Joe's the only one to get that one correct. At minus 150, that's 16.67 in his pocket.
I
in
didn't
his
go
big
0-4.
money pocket. We also had another New York team playing, but they were in Columbus this time, and that was the Rangers playing against the Blue Jackets. And the visiting team seemed to come out victorious here too, meaning Nick and Joe also got that correct, and it was also minus 150, so they got 67
New York
each.
Rangers.
And we all know what happened in the Super Bowl. The home team Chiefs lost to the Eagles, my favorite team of the week to pick, even though, I just had to go full board with the curse, meaning I lost that, losing $40 this week, knocking me down to $87.21. Nick came in second this week, winning $16.67, and also moving up to second place on the year at $88.37 by $1.15. Joe went 3-1, won $43.34, and is almost $200. $199.73. We'll see if he can make it over that $200 mark this week with these picks. Let's get into
Stallone face.
The big one that we started to talk about earlier. It is USA versus Canada coming up on Saturday night in the Four Nations Cup. Is it Colorado pride cheering for McKinnon, Rantanen, and Taves, or is it America? Fuck yeah. Nick, how you feeling? Who are you going with?
Canada got taken to overtime, but they have so much talent on that squad. And again, I hate Kachucks, but I love my American pride, but I think I'm going to have to go Canada.
Nick is going Team Canada.
Ooh.
All right, Joe, who you got?
Oh, give me Kachuk. Let's go. Fuck it. We beat Canada in the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to do it again in the Four Nations Tournament, and it's going to be the same guy doing it. Matthew motherfucking Kachuk. Chucking.
USA it is for Joe. I am also taking USA in this one. I do want to say this game is in
Montreal.
Montreal. I was like Michigan.
Montreal.
It is in Montreal, so there's a home ice advantage, obviously, for Canada.
You didn't hear them booing the anthem last night.
Oh, they booed USA. That was
Great.
That's kind of funny, but they know it's a competition. I think we all know that this seems to be a 2-horse race. As cool as it is to see the Swedish sweater and a Forsberg on the back of it, and the Finnish players. USA and Canada are definitely the class of this matchup. So I would love to see an OT game here. We move on to college basketball. Number 24, Creighton, visiting number 9, St. John's. St. John's just recently fell in their most recent game after knocking off 2 top 10 opponents, excuse me. Creighton also falling last night. But Creighton has been known to be the giant killers this season. Joe, who you got?
Creighton, fuck it.
Joe is going with Creighton. I am going with St. John's at home in this one, even though I did put some money down for Creighton to win the NCAA championship. I believe they are a veteran team and have the chance to do it. Nick, who you got?
I'm pretty sure they're a college team.
Give me Creighton.
Whatever.
Give me the Creighton.
Ooh, the Creighton. I like it.
I mean, they're definitely closer to us in Colorado than.
One of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards is called the Spear Cretan. He's just a little guy with a little spear.
All right. Well, we move on to something that isn't, a spear, I guess.
It isn't.
We're going on to the NBA All-Star Semifinals. First team to 40 wins. We can't choose between Team Kenny or Team Chuck. We can't do it. Y'all know why.
Of course we can.
Well, yeah, because we're all going to choose Team Chuck, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay, who's picking Team Kenny?
I'll do it just because we're having this conversation.
Okay. If you're going to do it, then I'll let you have Team Kenny. Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go.
Okay. All right,
because
Nick.
it's the
Well, then,
All-Star
I
game.
mean, I'm
like,
obvious. Okay,
whoever
I was
actually
choosing.
tries, we don't really know yet. So while Team Chuck's team on paper 1,000% is who I would take in a
All
competitive
right, well,
basketball
Joe's
game,
taking Kenny.
I
I'm
have
taking
no
Chuck.
idea.
Nick,
So
who you taking?
yeah, that's why I'm taking Team Kenny. Let's go.
You know, just to make it fun, give me Team Shaq.
No,
Chuck?
it's between
This
Shaq
is Kenny and Chuck.
it's Kenny and Chuck.
No, Shaq has a team because Shaq
I
and
thought
the.
that we're not choosing that game though.
Oh, I thought we were doing the whole tournament.
That's the game we
You
were
will,
choosing.
yes, but that's
No,
a
I thought
different game.
I thought we were doing the whole tournament. That's my bad.
Oh, we're picking like a future.
No,
winner?
no, we're not. I said we were going to
Okay.
choose the other game. No,
Choosing games, okay.
we're
No, my
going to
bad.
choose Team
I
Shaq
can't-
versus Team Candace, but
Can't
Gotcha.
always hear you over Joe either. Give me Chuck.
all right. Joe
There it is.
hates Nikola Jokic. You heard it.
Joe
here.
hates you. Absolutely.
All right, now to the
Definitely.
game that we were going to pick. Is it going to be the Rising Stars and Team Candace, or is it going to be Team Shaq? I guess. I mean, well, I'll go first since Joe said he was going to take Kenny. You know what? I am actually going to take Team Candace here because
Good choice.
I want the underdog money there.
There you
So
go.
give me Team Candace. Nick, who you got?
You know what? I already said Shaq, so give me Shaq.
Yeah, I was gonna say you kind of got to win this one if you want your original pick to go.
Kind of hard to walk
Joe,
away
who
from
you
that.
got?
I kind of am with you. Like, and we don't even know who Team Candace is because the Rising Stars competition is a competition. So those teams are already. We don't know which Rising Stars team is even going to be Team Candace. And I still say, fuck it. Let's take the young guys. Let's take the kids who have something to prove. Now, do
here's-
LeBron and Steph have something to prove if they can beat all the young guys? For sure. But, like,
Here's Joe not caring about his bankroll because he's up at almost 200.
Yeah, he's up at almost
and
200
just,
bucks.
and just spitting it off.
That's
That's what this is, folks. Joe should have withdrawn his money because now he's making idiotic picks.
it's the All-Star game. It's a fucking coin flip anyway.
And then last but not least, oh man, I just head up. Sorry. As we go with this interlude, want to thank everybody for tuning in, watching, and hanging with us throughout the show. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody, and thank you all for being a part of our show. We have college baseball going on.
Yes.
It has started, but we do know that a Tennessee Volunteer cannot be
paid.
cannot be
volunteer.
playing, has been kicked out. There we go. So we go to Saturday tomorrow, top 25 matchup.
So
It is. Sorry, I had to go back down. 118. Where is it? Where are you? Where did you go? All right. Oh no, not 18. Number 15, Clemson versus number 21, Arizona. Nick, who you got?
These are two pretty good organizations. Give
Yeah.
me Clemson.
Joe, who you got?
I don't know. Arizona.
I am also going with the SEC team in Clemson, even though they are playing in Arizona. It should be a really
gonna be a
good
good
game for sure. As the and the baseball season literally kicks off today. The first games have been are being played currently. I don't think there are a few finals, but yeah, first games are being played right now. And so college baseball is back. Major League Baseball is back.
Guess who's
World is
And
right
the love
again.
for all of you, it's never been gone. We love
The
y'all.
world is
I
right
love all
again.
you guys. And Nick's lights are out. Nick is not back. It went. Oh my god! It went dark on Nick right as I said we're back. Well,
Yep.
now
Oh,
he's
there it is.
back.
Hey,
Okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's have Nick wrap this thing up as we send it into space, much like Joe's money once he starts to have a little bit of a bankroll.
just like baseball, Nick Archuleta's back.
Hopefully, I closed Instagram in enough time that I have enough time to do this. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We love you. And it's not just because it's Valentine's Day. We just love you in general. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you tell everybody about us. We love doing this. Thank you for tuning in. We'll let you know when we're going to go live again next. We're back down to once a week since it's no longer football season.
Dependent upon breaking news.
Yes, we're definitely trying harder to get live pods in.
Emergency pods if possible.
And so we just gotta work. We gotta work. We'll be working. And if you guys keep watching us, we'll keep working. For Colin and Joe, I'm Nick. This has been Undrafted Uncensored. Thank you, Michael Spillin, everybody over at e5280sports.com for hosting us. Thank you, Pikes Peak Sports Cards, our sponsor. And thank you guys. Have a great Valentine's Day. Enjoy yourselves, whatever you do tonight, and make sure you do not drink and drive.
And use protection.
Oh.